Hello and good afternoon, Maine. Hope everyone is having a great summer. I'm really excited for everyone that's joining the webinar, and we're going to wait another minute or so for more people to join. And hope everyone was able to use Uber Eats. I know lunch just started for everyone. And if you didn't get to use a code, I believe it should be still good to use probably by Thursday afternoon. And let me know in the Q&A box what you ordered for lunch or what your summer plans may be. And my manager, she was actually just in Maine, Portland, and she said it was really beautiful. And I definitely someday want to go to New England, check out the different towns. I heard Biddeford, Maine has a really good food scene. Like check out all the little like towns that are around the state and just drive off the coast. I definitely want to have a coastal summer someday. We're based in San Jose, so we we're in Northern California. There's beaches, so I just went to Santa Cruz. We have like a boardwalk, and then past San Francisco, we have some really cool like kind of coastal, breezy style of beaches. And the lighthouse you see in the slide, that's for Maine, but for California, we have this lighthouse called Point Reyes, and that's a place where I want to check out. In Northern California, there's a lot of like cheese places, like cheese tasting. There's wineries since Napa. That area is close by. And let's see what we have in the Q&A box. So, okay, I see someone got Mediterranean food and there's some sandwiches. For our job, we're gonna have, or for our company, we're gonna have barbecue. Right now it's 9 a.m., so we won't be having lunch in a few hours. Okay, someone got burgers and a Caesar salad, classic. Okay, so looks like we have more people that have joined. So before we start, just wanted to do some housekeeping. And at the end of this presentation, I'll be following up with an email to provide the HRCI and Shroom credits. If you have any questions today, we have our Q&A box right here. I'll get back to you as soon as possible as these questions will be saved. I may not be able to address questions as they come up, but should be able to address them in the follow-up emails. And then if you want any further information, feel free to respond to the email I'll be sending with the credits. And then we'll also share a recording of the presentation. You can share with your colleagues. That's going to be sent through Zoom. And if you didn't get a code for Uber Eats, I just saw one question pop up in the Q&A box. I will let my manager know. We should be able to get that code back to you in a couple hours. And just let me know if you have any further questions throughout the presentation. So for Uber Eats, I'll definitely get back to you and send over a code. So today we're going to talk about Maine nonprofits and unemployment. Before I get started, just wanted to do like a quick intro of myself. My name is Janessa Ponko. I'm the membership development representative here at 501c Services. I've been in sales since 2016. I was selling vendor boot space at a wedding fair for about 3 years. I've set up meetings for tech startups during the pandemic, and currently I've been scheduling appointments with nonprofits here at 501 since July 2023. And then the image on the left of people bowling, it includes some of our sales and marketing team members. Heidi is my manager in the middle. You may work with her in the future. Evan is on the right, who works on our marketing and web development. I'm really excited to be part of a company that's been helping nonprofits save time and money that can go towards furthering their mission. And our company is based in San Jose, California. So we're in the heart of the Silicon Valley. We're dedicated to helping nonprofits reduce unemployment expenses across the nation. And thank you again for joining to learn more about cost-effective strategies and managing unemployment in the state. So we're going to provide a broad overview on how unemployment insurance works, alternatives for 501c3 nonprofits when it comes to unemployment, how reimbursing works. We're also going to use some real life examples of nonprofits we've helped with our cost analysis, and finally provide more information on our company 501c services and how many of our main nonprofits have benefited from our services. First of all, I wanted to start off with a little history to put unemployment in perspective. Unemployment started in the US in the 1930s following the Great Depression and New Deal, where the federal government wanted to create a safety net for workers who lost their jobs through no fault of their own. From 1930 to 1972, 501c3 organizations didn't pay into unemployment benefits for separated employees. Although this saved them money from paying these taxes, employees that were laid off couldn't reap the benefits of having a safety net that for-profit companies had provided. Now, fast forward to 1972, 501c3 organizations, they had to pay into unemployment under the Social Security Act, but they were provided different opportunities in how they pay, so that tax wouldn't be seen as an unnecessary expense for them. So unemployment is overseen on the federal level. However, each state gets to manage their own programs however they choose. So throughout the US, you can see different taxable wage bases, tax rates, benefit amounts. But today we're just going to cover information here in the state of Maine. When it comes to management, unemployment rates can be adjusted annually and are adjusted by experience. So for instance, if you have a year or two of bad claims, your tax rate will increase. Most states, including Maine, they run as a risk pool. So what you're putting into that pool doesn't necessarily equate to what you get out. And we are seeing a lot of nonprofits are putting more money into that pool than what they're really getting out of it. So these total tax liabilities by employers, they're often greater than the claims paid with reserves used in times of recession. And then the total tax liability is calculated by multiplying the taxable wage base by your employer tax rate. So take a guess on what a single claim can cost in Maine. Feel free to put some guesses in the Q&A box. So I see I have 11,000, 13,200. I got 2,300, 9,675. 10,200. Just as like a little hint, the total cost is looking at the weekly benefit maximum times the maximum number of weeks someone can claim, and that maximum number of weeks is 26 for Maine. So I see 10,000 and 12,400, 13,700. So the maximum amount a single person can claim in unemployment in Maine can cost $15,470. Just as a caveat, this is what an employer is charged for employee benefits by the state. Those extended benefits you saw during the recession and those extra COVID payments, they were covered by the federal government. The maximum weekly benefit amount in Maine is $595. When we multiply that number by 26 is how we get that 14,000 or $15,470 for the maximum of what a single person can claim on unemployment. The federal government sets the wage base at a minimum of $7,000 and there's no maximum. Currently, the state of Maine's taxable wage base is currently set at $12,000, which means for the first $12,000 an employee earns, your organization is taxed on that. And then the minimum tax rate is at 0.3%. The maximum tax rate is at 6.27%, and those are also set by the state. And then the last thing I want to know is the improper payment rate, which is at 8.5%. And this overpayment equates to over $25 million in overpayments to former employees who are collecting unemployment from the past 3 years. This is information we get from the Department of Labor. You can see on the chart, Maine is one of the many states that's less than 10%. This is important to know as we really encourage you to look over your claims and make sure that you're not overpaying for anybody's claims. And here at 501, we help organizations monitor overpayments. And if you are managing on your own, you want to make sure that you're properly charged for a former employee's weekly benefit amount. My apologies, I have a little bit of allergies, so you might see me get some water or clear a little bit of my allergies. So there are three different alternatives for unemployment. One is that you pay the state tax that we mentioned earlier with the tax rate that's set by the state and taxable wages. And then another option is that you can self-insure or reimburse for your unemployment where you just pay dollar per dollar for your unemployment claims. So basically, you're only paying for the benefits issued. And then the last option is kind of a hybrid of both, where you buy insurance that offers the savings of reimbursing while also providing that safety net. Just to let you know, reimbursing is not for everyone. The qualifications that we look at for considering reimbursing is that an organization must be a 501(c)(3) nonprofit. It excludes religious institutions. We recommend a gross annual payroll of $1 million or more because typically, if your payroll's under 1 million, especially significantly less than that, what you're paying into the state pool is probably pretty minimal, and you might not see much significant savings by opting out. However, there may be some scenarios where we could see potential savings and you might want to consider reimbursing. So we'd be happy to look at your numbers, even if you're just slightly less than 1 million. And then we also look at a positive audit of the past 3 years. So that means in order for reimbursing to work for you, we try to evaluate what you paid each year in taxes exceeds what you're paying in actual claims. And then we want to make sure that there isn't major disruption in funding for the next 24 months. So we do recommend to stay with the state tax system. If you might have anything from layoffs, reduction in workforce, losing funds, or closing programs where your tax rates may go up with experience. And then you probably want to wait once those claims decrease. What it means to reimburse is that your tax rate turns to 0%, and the state will bill you only for unemployment claims you receive over the quarter. It's a great way for nonprofits to save money and be a better steward of donor dollars. And the process is seamless for separate employees. No matter how your employees separated, they'll still go through the same process for EDD, where the state will determine their benefit amount based on the base period pay. The only change is how the quarterly bill is calculated. Instead of paying that state unemployment insurance tax, you're now only responsible for the charges your organization incurs. We work with over 1,500 nonprofits across the nation, and several of them are in Maine. So you're probably wondering what motivates them to reimburse. In most cases, reimbursing saves money. On average, savings can be anywhere from 20 to 40% compared to paying into the state tax system. This is really the driver for most organizations to switch. Reimbursing eliminates any concern of changes in the state tax, such as those tax hikes you can't control. And then you become a better steward of donor dollars as you just pay for your actual claims than into that state pool. Because unemployment is managed by the federal government, big picture, reimbursing is allowed in all 50 states. It's best with employers with over $1 million in payroll and at least 15 or more full-time employees. If you're on the borderline, we can still certainly talk. There may be some circumstances where we can consider reimbursing for your organization. And if you're smaller and reimbursing already, we can still consider you for our services and how we can help you reduce your risk. I do want to talk about how SUI is calculated. Like I mentioned earlier, I'll show some real cost assessments that we've done in the past. The taxable wage base is customized by each state. So in Maine, that taxable wage base is set at $12,000. All employers in the state pay the same taxable wage base. It represents that first $12,000 of an employee's earnings. There's no maximum and can increase or decrease by any amount each year. The tax rate is set annually by the state and is based on experience. So to calculate the contribution amount, you multiply that taxable wage base by the tax rate. So for Maine, it's at $12,000 times a range of 0.3 and to 6.27%. So this amount means that if each employee makes over $12,000, a company is paying in between $36 to $752.4 per employee in unemployment. What we do to get started on an assessment is that we look at your notice of contribution rate. I believe in Maine, it's typically sent by like the end of December, and it gives us some of the information we need for the analysis. So this document includes the total assessment rate. So that's highlighted on the third row. It's calculated by adding the adjusted unemployment contribution rate, the CSSF assessment rate, and the UPAF assessment rate together. And then the prior year's reserve balances, that's on the right side. It's not highlighted, but it's on the the first like column that has like, it says prior year's reserve excess for, I think this document was in 2023. So it shows basically what an organization has overpaid in the organization's lifetime. And in this example, the overpayment was about over $135,000. And then the sample form also includes benefit charges from the past 2 years, taxable wages from the past 3 years. For this example, it shows that the organization paid over $7,000 in taxes, and they didn't pay any benefits from the last year, although it shows the year before that they paid over $5,000 in claims. So looking at the chart that we have, the savings overall for this organization, it doesn't seem, well, it seems pretty small if they were to opt out of the state tax system. However, our team still recommended to look into reimbursing. We basically considered the prior year reserve access, like how much they were paying over a lifetime. And then also just let you know, there isn't any need for you to understand everything on the form. We'll help you with the cost analysis by looking over those numbers. We can see if there's potential savings. And then our next two slides will also show examples of nonprofits that had larger overpayments, and then eventually those organizations had become reimbursers. So for our first slide, this is an example of a human services nonprofit we worked with. The taxable payroll was just shy of $1 million, tax rate at 4.7%, estimated claims only around about $200 per year. In this case, we typically look at a 3-year average of claims based on like the document and the state that the document's in. So they were overpaying about $45,000 a year. And think of what you can do with an additional $45,000 for your organization. In this next example, the taxable payroll was around $700,000. Tax rate was 3.38%. The estimated annual claims is at $5,900. Estimated unemployment taxes were around $24,000. So they overpaid around $18,000. My apologies. I realized that the claims and the taxes, the numbers were switched, but they did have the $18,000 overpayment. And a little bit more about our company. We were founded in 1982 by a former UCP executive, John Huckstad. He was looking at ways to save money for his organization, so he came up with the idea of starting a trust. He created the first kind of grantor trust, the Joint Unemployment Compensation Trust, that eventually became 501c Services, 501c Agencies Trust. We started at about 25 members here in San Jose and have now grown to helping over 3,000 nonprofits in various ways across the nation. In 2016, John sold the company back to his employees. So we're now 100% employee owned. From our receptionist to the CEO, every member is committed to our company and serving our members. Our services are valued tremendously by our members, with our company having over a 98% retention rate. And here are a couple of testimonials our members have shared, and you can also go back to these later as I'll attach the slides after the presentation. And this is a clip from our 40th anniversary a few years ago that includes testimonials from Nika Lund and Mike Hoffman from Start Early, Mary Sue and Michael Eady from CISC, Sandy Leota and Chris Marshall of Baltimore Center Stage, and Phyllis Austin and Jason Penniger from Boys and Girls Club of America.
What makes me passionate about working for a non-for-profit organization is because I knew I always wanted to work for a mission-driven organization.
Our mission is to work with immigrant communities so that they can achieve the American dream.
501 helps focus our service to the community by giving us more time.
501 helps us focus on serving our communities by providing services directly to our HR professionals.
The biggest benefit for working with 501 is really the transparency and ability to forecast our costs when it comes to our unemployment benefits.
They also keep our cash flow steady through claims that are sound and take a lot of the admin burden off of us so we can just stay on autopilot.
We're very grateful for all the support you provided over the last 4 decades, and we wish you continued success in the future.
Congratulations, 501, on your 40th anniversary. It's been a pleasure serving with you for the last 24 years.
And like I've said earlier, we work with several Maine nonprofits. Here is a quick snapshot of a few nonprofits here in the state and also across the nation that are members. And as you heard in the clip, we help nonprofits save time and money by relieving those administrative burdens that can come with unemployment. The first way we help nonprofits is through claims management. Our team will help you manage, audit, and protest claims. We offer unlimited access to hearing reps, and our team has an 80% average win protest rate. You'll have a dedicated claims manager once you become a member of our trust. And all of our claims, they go through this online portal where you'll get notified that a claim has been filed. So you'll go into the portal and respond to the questions. And if in any case you go on PTO and forget to delegate these kinds of tasks, it shouldn't be a problem for when a claim isn't responded to in several days. It gets escalated and handled. A big part of our claims management services is that our team doesn't want to see your organization overpay or get hit by those Maine error rates. So we can audit those charges for you, or also we can prevent you for paying a claim when someone gets terminated. We want to make sure that you're managing these claims and also have enough support to do so. And we also have our HR services. It includes 3 components. We offer access to unlimited HR consultations. We're a small dedicated team that can answer any of your HR related questions. So if you ever have an ongoing issue, you can develop rapport with the person who will support you and manage any of those HR questions. We also have trainings throughout the year that are HRCI and SHROOM certified. And we also have an online knowledge library with our HR services. And with the $595 maximum weekly benefits here in the state of Maine, our goal is to help you keep that cost as low as possible. So if you're ever laying someone off, we have our reemployment tool. It offers packages that can range from online coaching, interview techniques, and resume writing. It's never fun to let someone go, but at least you can give them the safety net and resources to help them secure a new job faster. And then in return, that can help your organization save more money. And then we have the protection part of our program. So that's the insurance part. Most of our members, they take our stop loss protection. It helps them during those catastrophic claims. And then other than catastrophic claims, for managing the typical highs and lows of unemployment, we have the trust account. It's kind of like a savings 101 for your organization. This is a reserved account that's owned by your organization where you would save for those possible unexpected number of claims. So I hope this sparked your interest, and maybe some of you may want to manage your claims through us as a reimbursing employer. If you wanted to look into potential savings, what I would need from you is your 941s or estimated payroll from 2023 to 2024 as a reimburser. And if you are paying into the state tax system, we would need a copy of at least your 2025 tax rate notice. It would also be helpful to have the last 2 years, so 2023 and 2024 tax rate notices, so we can also look at more additional data points for you. So currently, I don't see any Q&A or questions in the Q&A box, and I will stay on for about another minute or so, and then after that, I'll sign off and start sending the follow-up emails. It will include the copy of the slides, also the HRCI and Shroom credits. And then if you are typing a question as I log off, please feel free to respond to the upcoming email as well. And thank you so much for joining this presentation. I really look forward to speaking with some of you soon. Thank you again. And if you have any questions, I will get back to the people that didn't get the Uber Eats. And this is my contact information. It has my email, my phone number. Thank you so much, and I'll be in touch in about a few hours. Have a great day.